I am an avid hunter. My name is Bo, and I have hunted and fished all my life. I joined the Army straight out of high school, and now I work 6 days a week. But enough about me. Y'all want to know what true nightmares are made out of. I have found out last October, hunting in New River. I had gotten up early that morning and cooked breakfast for my fiancé. My fiancé loves fried eggs in the morning, and I do them exactly like she likes. So we eat, and I get my camo out of the bag, as well as my rifle out of the cabinet. We headed out that morning, and I took my fiancé to work. Her work was on the way to New River. When we pull in, I give her a kiss, and she tells me to bring her home something good. I told her I would, and I got back in my jacked-up Chevy 2500. The trip to the mountain was as gorgeous as always, and the Tennessee back roads are amazing and beautiful. So I got to my stand, but it was so eerily quiet that morning. Around noon, I decided to go to the truck and grab a sandwich and another bottle of water. So I eat a peanut butter and syrup sandwich my fiancé made me while I was getting ready. She even had time to write me a note and basically said she loved me and was happy that we were together, since it was only 1 month out from having our little girl, and she was just an amazing old lady. After I got done, I decided to walk to the tree stand again. On my walk back, in the woods, I start to have this feeling of dread, that something is wrong, that something just isn't right. But I brush it off, thinking maybe it's just nerves, since this is hog country after all, and I have been chased on the road before that I'm walking on. But this just kept getting worse and worse. I started getting deeper down the ridge, closer to my stand, and I hear a twig break, and I stop. Now, me being an experienced hunter, I notice movement in this thicket just about 50 or so yards away. I notice this brown shape moving out towards me, so I crouch down, ready my rifle, and I train my rifle on the color, when I get to noticing that this thing is grunting. So I'm thinking, yes, a big buck. God, was I wrong. The thing slowly walked out closer and closer, and I realized that, wow, this creature's so massive, it's way bigger than a deer on all fours. So I'm thinking, okay, an elk is walking out. Cool. But I noticed its head and the shape is all wrong. It slowly starts walking out. All of a sudden, it stops and stands up. I mean, on 2 legs, it's easily 8 feet tall, but because I'm 6'6", the thicket is just above my head, and this thing's almost a foot to 2 feet above it. It starts sniffing the air, and its head snaps right to my direction. I freeze up at that moment, feeling like I'm concreted to the ground. The wolf thing that I was looking at was beginning to let out this real, deep, almost demonic-like growl. It starts snarling, showing its teeth towards me. I, being army trained, realize if it charges, I'm only getting 1 shot at this thing, so I'd have to make it count. All of a sudden, it begins to tear through the bushes on all fours again. I realize the movie Van Halen's Werewolf is charging at me at full speed. I realized I'm in big trouble, and I hear this branch break behind me. I look over my shoulder and see that there is a second, larger wolf behind me on 2 legs. It is easily 9 feet tall, built like a bodybuilder with jet black fur. It drops to all 4 and starts running full speed towards me. But this one was a lot closer. I spin around and see that this thing is too fast for me to unsafely shoot at with my rifle. I jump out of the way of this monstrous beast charging me. I end up hitting the hard rocks and slid into the red clay mud, just to realize it already crossed the roadbed I'd been walking on, and the 2 wolves are set on a collision course. When the bigger black wolf hits the lighter brown wolf, he tackles the brown wolf to the ground. As they are rolling down the hill and clawing and biting and slamming each other into the hard ground, the smaller brown wolf kicks and paws from the bottom when its back claws rip the big black wolf's stomach wide open and throws him off onto the ground. The brown wolf then turns to me. It snarls and starts charging again at full speed. I am awestruck by the power of the wolf and the sheer size of it as it's on its way towards me. But the big black wolf slams the brown one from behind, running its arm through the brown one's side, picking it up and clamps its massive jaws on its shoulder as it throws the brown one down away from me. It lands and rolls about 10 yards and jumps up running away, back through the brush. I let out the breath I didn't even realize I was holding in at that moment. I look at the now bloody and beaten, ripped open black wolf, which is standing with blood dripping off its back claws and glistening white teeth, dripping with the blood of the brown wolf. And for some reason, it registers to me that I have to show that I am no threat to the king of the mountain. I lower the rifle down, away from me, and as I do this thing smirks at me, lets out an ear-shattering roar that turns into a howl. As it looks into my soul, I see the eyes of a beast, and I can understand that it was there to show it was the alpha, and as long as I showed him respect, he will not be a threat. It turned to drop on all fours and ran away after the other. I instantly take off running. Luckily for me and the army, it allowed for me to stay in great shape. I take off up the ridge and make it to the truck. Soon as I get to the door, I realize there's blood all over the side of my truck. I hesitate to look, but I had to know. I flip the rifle safety off, ready to blast anything that'd jump up from the bed of the truck. I realize there is a big, dead doe laying in the bed of my truck that has had its neck broken. I jump in, start the truck, spin it around, throwing gravel and 2 roster tails. I'm tearing ass out of the woods, and I fly all the way down the mountain, through the back roads, and don't stop till I reach Denver. My fiancée can tell I'm shaken up, so she ends up taking me home. I tell her everything, but we decide to tell everyone that I hit the doe with my truck, and I got spooked by it, because who would believe me, right? That is, till I got to hearing other people who have seen this massive animal as well. So I thought that this would be the best way for me to get the story off my chest and not get told I'm crazy or lying or making it up. I just wanted to warn every hunter and hiker around that we ain't the top of the food chain or the king of the mountain, because the king of the mountain is a truly massive beast who has no predators. Thanks again for helping me get this off my chest. Now, let me tell you about my second encounter. I have the Bigfoot encounter where me and my fiancé had seen that same wolfman. We have been going hunting in New River again. We have seen a family of Bigfoot for 3 or 4 years now. They have never been aggressive or anything like that. They show respect and are generally curious creatures. There is 4 Bigfoot in the area. The big male is jet black and about 9 to 10 foot tall. He looks like a jacked hair man. The second largest is a female, about 8 foot tall, a light brown color with black stripes down her shoulders and back. The 2 smaller ones are between 6 and 8 foot tall, both lighter brown. There is 1 male and 1 female juvenile. The young male is a dark brown with a light brown patch on his chest. The young female is a light golden brown and absolutely gorgeous in color. We usually see them all together as a family unit, or the 2 males going out together. Looks as if hunting, possibly because they have both been on the deer trails, or the gravel and dirt roads to cross the area. They are all very curious. They have been known to walk up close, within 50 yards or so, whooping and chirping to me and my fiancé. We have had a blast seeing them and getting them used to us being in the area. We have built a cabin down in the holler of the ridge. This cabin in the woods is set next to a gorgeous place set between creek branches, but in a way that we can get a vehicle to the door. We started first seeing the male, and I was nervous because it isn't too far where I'd seen the two dogmen fighting originally. Shortly after we got to seeing the full family, they'd check out the truck or look in the windows at night to see if we were cooking. There for a while, my fiancée was scared of them, and then she realized that they were just curious. It has been amazing to see the young ones playing around in the creek on hot summer days. The big male lying in the cool mud, with the big female laid up in the shade while the two youngsters playing, splashing and rolling in mud, and even throwing mud. Once, the young male ran up behind me while I was fixing a tree stand that was sitting in the bed of my Chevy 2500. He scared me with the loud steps, running up behind me. Then he let out a rather strange whoop, almost as if he said boo. As he said woo, I jumped around, startled, and the young one was standing there, laughing like a little fat feller who would be holding his stomach. Kinda like a backwoods Satan-style laugh. I laughed at him and said, "You little shit." The big male walked up and grunted towards him. He waved and ran away. My fiancée had stepped out on the porch when she had heard the sound and waited to see them some more, since it's been the second time that morning that they'd been around. She's seen me and the big male standing only 10 yards away from each other. He dwarfed me. I seen her face and it showed she was nervous, if not scared. It was a bit shocking to see him so up close, to have been close enough to smell his musky aroma. Last weekend, I noticed he got a new open wound on his chest. It was 4 big claws down his burly, leathery chest. We left some fruit that was going bad out for him, so he could get to it a bit easier, so he'd heal up, because it showed me that he would protect the area. This weekend, we went up again, but didn't hear them or see them anywhere. I was honestly kind of worried that something happened to him, and that the family would be in trouble. So I kept looking for them that Friday night, not seeing them all night long. The next morning, my fiancé and I got up and had breakfast. We went hunting up the ridge just a ways and had a wonderful day together. We always have been side by side. Her love of hunting just made her so much more attractive to me. I honestly am the luckiest man in the world to have her as my partner. Saturday evening, we got back down to the camp, and we noticed something had been through the leaves all around the camp. It gave us a bit of hope that they're all okay. We had then gotten ready for supper, started cooking as the sun was setting. In New River, it gets pitch black dark in just a few moments. My fiancé had stepped out to the porch to go grab me a bottle of Jack out of the truck, and I heard the door open on the truck. I heard it slam as she came running through the door, and I dropped everything, and I hurried to make sure that she's okay. And she was standing there saying that she thought our big male neighbor was coming up the creek bed towards us. So we decided to turn the camp stove down so we could step outside to watch him approach. So as we are standing there, I light a cigarette and hand it to my fiancé. As I light my own, I realized he is walking kind of weird and not sounding good. His normal strong, crisp sounding grunts are sounding more deep and raspier. I take the bag of fruit out the back truck and we walk down closer to the creek bed. We creep back up the creek bank towards camp. As we are, the critter is coming closer to me, not knowing I stepped into a hole where one of the young ones had grabbed a clump of mud and thrown it. I hit the ground hard as I was stepping backwards, and I stood back up, quickly trying not to spook the Bigfoot with my pain groan. My fiancé turned and helped me back to my feet, but as she turned her back from the animal, my heart sank as I seen the deep pitch black wolf man that had won the fight before with the brown wolf. He starts picking up pace towards us, and in that moment, I jumped to my feet. I told my fiance to run, that I'd hold it off as long as I could. Its massive body jumps through the creek, still at an incredible speed, and so I put myself between the beast and I and my old lady, the love of my life. I couldn't let anything happen to her, so I am putting myself in front, charging him, yelling this primal roar I never knew I had from the deepest place of my soul. The wolfman breaking out of the water on a full sprint towards me, as I have gotten his attention now. I draw a Bowie knife out of this sheath my grandfather had left over from the Vietnam War. At this moment, knowing I'm going to die as he would destroy me, all of a sudden, there is a roar from the top of the hill. Standing proud, the young female was roaring and beating her chest as the wolf stops. So do I, to see the new creature trying to enter the fray. My fiancée stops on a dime, and she was staring at me with tears in her eyes as I realized that she has the hunting rifle from the bed of the truck. The wolf starts to snarl and growl. He realizes he's in trouble, and he bats me away onto my back. My fiancé takes a shot and shoots him. The shot goes into the chest, but it barely grazes him, as my fiancé comes running up to me and having another gun with her, handing it to me. We realize that the young female and young male standing across the creek had started throwing rocks at the wolfman. I start backing up slowly towards my fiancé as the big male bursts from the thicket and clears the creek in one jump, and the massive male standing between us and the wolfman. He is roaring and beating his chest. The wolf then starts running again. The big male Bigfoot and the alpha wolfman hit into this devastating brawl. The wolf clawing and slashing the big male, proudly standing there. He grabbed the wolf by the throat and held him back as the two youngsters are pelting the wolfman with rocks. The male swinging its massive large arms down on the wolf and dropping it to its knees. But as that's going on, the wolf slashes the Bigfoot's legs, dropping him to his knees. The Bigfoot and wolfman both being dropped to their knees, and as the Bigfoot hits its knees, it lets out a pained bellow. The wolfman jumps on top of him. Then, one of the other Bigfoot swings a down tree and smashes the wolfman right in the head. As it flips backwards, she swings, breaking the log across its stomach. He jumps and runs away, the female making a delicate chirping and clicking as she kneels down to the male. The young ones across the creek to reunite with the two larger family members. My fiancé is running to my side, wrapping me in a hug and holding me, saying thank God. The big male getting his bearings standing up from the ground and about 10 yards away from me. He looks at me and does this light chirping and clicking toward me, cocking his head like a dog would, seeing if I was okay. The whole family standing there in front of us, while me, my fiancé, and the entire family of Bigfoot all let out this huge ringing roar together. It was kind of like a victory roar. Then they slowly make their way back up the hill to the top of the ridge where I believe their cave is located. Me and my fiancé head back to the cabin and get back inside. She checks me out, wraps up my ribs as we load the truck in record time. We leave out of there in the jacked 2500 Chevy. Fiancé holding my hand, saying that she's so proud of me and is just thankful that I'm okay. And we got to tearing down the mountain every bump, reminding me of my bruised ribs. I thanked her for coming back for me, and we get to the main road. She leans over, gives me a kiss, and we get the hell out of Dodge. Hey guys, What Lurks Beneath here. I hope you enjoyed this really cool Dogman versus Bigfoot story. I know it might have been a little difficult to listen through just because of how the story was sent in kind of shambles, so I had to slightly reformat it. But hopefully it's written in a way you can generally get the message across. Again guys, if you like my content, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you all in the next video.